Hello students, I'm Shrimoy Banik and in this video I'm going to explain you about loops in Python programming. So let's begin. Firstly, we are going to explore what are loops. Secondly, we'll check out the different types of loops in Python and then we would explore about for loop and while loop. Okay? So, what are loops? See, loop simply means repeating task. Okay? Loop simply means repeating task. Let it be any task. Okay, so let's say anything that you do every day, right? So every day you have to go to the market and buy some items. So maybe you are doing this every day in a week. So that's also repetition of task that you are doing every day. So if it was possible that we could place it inside a Python loop and the task would be done automatically every day and we just had to do it once a week, so that would really be a blessing, right? But that's not really possible in our real life, but we can implement it in coding, right? Okay, so let's take an example like you have to make some calculation 10 times, right? Or maybe you have to print a certain value for 100 times. Okay, so or let's say you have to check that what are the even numbers that comes in the range of 1 to 1000. So that's quite a big process, but the calculation to check if a number is even or not is same. So you just put the condition to check inside a loop, right? Like how to check the even numbers, and the task would be done 1000 times. Isn't that really great? Okay, now let's understand how this circle goes from one end of the screen to the other end. Just take a look at it. So the circle starts from the left end and it comes to the right end, right? So this task is being done 5 times automatically, right? So what I had to do in order to make the circle move from one end to the other end is just I did it once, but I put it inside a repeat command, right? So that's an implementation of loop that just happened in front of our eyes. Okay. Now we would explore loop but in Python style. So what do I mean by in Python style? Like how in reality in a Python code we can implement loops. So let's say I am writing the same statement 3 times. What would happen? It would simply print hello 3 times. Just like this, right? So to get an output with 3 hellos, I had to write print hello 3 times. That's quite simple. You can even copy and paste the same statement, right? So copy paste is also one solution, is it? Not really when we are talking about coding. So here what we have to do is we can't repeat the same command so many times. That's not really the way to write a code. Imagine if you had to print it 10,000 times. Then what would you do? Would you just keep on copy pasting it? No, right? So for that we have a very simple solution, which is instead of using the print statement thrice, we would simply use the for loop and put the range over here, and then we would print whatever you have to print inside it, right? So just because here 3 is written, it would print 3 times, right? Okay, now if you had to print it 1000 times, then you could have written 1000 over here and it would have printed hello, 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 hello 1000 times, right? So pretty simple, right? So that's how looping works in Python. Now we are going to go in depth and we would explore about for loop. Now, for loop is what? See, for loop works in mainly 2 situations. First situation is when we know that what is the number of times, or let's say what is the number of steps that you have to do. Or let's understand it this way, that the example that I just placed in front of you a few minutes like a few seconds back, where I told you that maybe you have to do a task 1000 times, you have to print something 1000 times. So when you are sure about the number, right, when you're sure about the range that you have to print it between 1 to 1000, then go for loop, right? Secondly, if you have to iterate over a sequence, like let's say traversing through all the individual characters of a string. Like string means what? Let's say Python is a string, or let's say any name. Let's think my name. So everything is a string. And let's say I had to print P, then Y, then T, then H, then O, and then N. So all the characters I'm printing one by one. Am I correct? So over here we can use for loops. So a sequence simply means that could be a string in Python, or that could also be a list in Python, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this through a simple visual representation, how for loop works. So, let's imagine that this is a basket where I have some packets, maybe some packet of biscuits. Okay, so I have asked a small kid, like this, a small kid, and maybe I have asked this small kid that please can you help me take out one packet and just one packet at a time and keep it on the ground. So what the child does is the child picks up one packet from this, okay, and will put it on the ground, right? Now the child asks me, okay, so how many times do I have to do this? I said, like, because the packets are quite heavy, so you have to carry only one packet at a time. Otherwise, it could be like, it could get spoiled or something. So just carry one packet at a time. So now the child thinks, okay, so there are 5 packets. So I have to do this task 5 times, right? So 1 is done, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we have successfully gathered all the 5 packets on the ground. So this is the situation where my loop terminates, right? Or let's say my loop ends over here. So now the child is done with the work, very happy, and goes back, right? So that's the situation of using a for loop. And now we are going to explore when we can use while loop. See, while loop is used to iterate in a specific condition. Now, what do I mean by condition? Often the same codes can also be achieved using for loop and also using while loop. But the major difference lies in the factor that while loop works on some specific condition. So what could be the condition? Let's say, I'll explain firstly through a visual representation. Let's say this is a bucket of water. Okay, so let's say this bucket has some water and I have some big glass with me. So I have asked that can you just take out the water from the bucket and fill up the glasses? So how many times do you have to do it? Do you have the answer? Can you tell me how many times or how many glasses will actually be filled? Maybe, 2 glasses are filled and this one is filled only half. That's possible. Or maybe these 2 glasses are filled and this one is empty. That's also possible, right? So we don't really know how many times we have to do it. So in this situation, maybe the first glass is filled, the second glass is filled, and the third time we did not have to fill the glass. So after 2 fillings, the bucket is now empty, right? So that's the condition we are talking about. That is the situation when we are not sure how many times we have to perform the specific task, but still we are repeating the task, right? I hope you get me. Now, we will explore loop through coding. So that's PyCharm for you, and I'm going to show you the Python code inside this IDE. Okay, firstly, let's understand about for loop. So I write for, then I take a variable, very common to take I as the variable. So for I in range, and then I put some number, let's say 5. And inside this, I simply use the print statement to print something. What if I print I over here? So what will it print for me? So see, as you can see, it starts printing from 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So now it's clear that if I use range function and if I put 5 over here, so it by default takes from 0. The value starts from 0 and it continues till 4. Now, there's another way we can write 1, which will be the starting range, and then I can put the ending range. Now if I put 5 over here, there's a problem. It will only print till 4. So the last value is always skipped. So in this case, if I have to print till 5, then I must write 6 inside this. Now you can see it prints from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So pretty simple. If I have to print 100, I don't need to write print 1, print 2, print 3, and God knows how many times I had to write. I can simply put it in the range, and you can see it's already printed till 99, right? So in order to print till 100, just make it 101 and we are done. So looping can be done in a different way as well. Like let's say you have a variable which is name, and inside this I'm going to put my name, and instead of printing I, this time we will be using I only as a counter variable, which will count how many times the loop is executing. And inside this I will just put the variable which is name, right? So let's see what happens. Okay, as you can see, the word name is already printed, but if you're thinking how many times it printed, so don't worry, you can also put put the value of I over here like this. So I can maybe concatenate I, so that would come as a variable, and I'll put a hyphen over here and like this. Yeah, so now you can see how many times it's getting printed, right? Pretty good. Okay, so that's for loop for you. Now we can see the other part of for loop, which was this one, where I said that we can iterate over a sequence like traversing through all the characters. So now what I will do is for I in, but we won't use the range function this time. We would simply put the name of the sequence, like whatever is the variable name, here it's name only. So for I in name, and now I'm going to print I. What will happen, this is a different thing, please understand, we are not using range function. So it would simply iterate over iterate through all the individual characters like you can see over here, and it has printed my name, but all the characters has been printed separately, right? So that's another use of for loop. Okay, so with this we will now explore about while loop. But before moving to while loop, I would like to say one very important thing, that whenever you are writing a for loop, don't miss out the colons. See, always at the end of the for statement we put this colon, and after that you can see that there are a number of spaces. The space over here is called as indentation, right, which is a mandatory thing in Python programming. So the indentation identifies that this is a block of code, right? So this print statement is inside this for loop, and this print statement is inside this for loop, correct? Okay, now the same concept will be applied for while loop as well. So even for while loop we have to put the colon, but before that I would like to take a variable and name it as number. So let's say number is a variable where I have assigned the value 10, and now I will be putting a condition. So while number is less than or equal to 100, so that's the condition given inside while loop, and then I put the colon, right? Okay, now what I will do is I will put a print statement, and I will print the current value of number. So current value, and then I put number, and after that I'm going to change the value of number. How? I will write number equals to number multiplied by 2. So I'm just multiplying number with 2 every time the loop runs, right? So what will happen, just make a rough calculation, that firstly it's going to be 10 and it will print 10, right? So firstly it will print 10, and after that it will be multiplied with 2, so it will become 20, then it will become 40, then it will become 80, and that's where the loop stops. Why? Because the number needs to be less than 100, either equal to or less than 100. Okay, so that's where the loop will stop. See, current value 10, 20, 40 and 80. Correct? So that's how we can implement while loop and for loop in Python. And so I hope I am clear with the topic, and I hope I'm able to explain to you how looping works in Python and where in which situations we can put it. So thank you for being with me in the class, and I hope you enjoyed and I hope you have understood the topic. So thank you.